Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on increasing productivity and efficiency in the workplace. I'm so excited for today's session as we have two incredible speakers here from UpKeep. First, we have Vince Grosso joining us, who is UpKeep's Senior Product Marketing Manager, in addition to Jonathan Sapko, who is a Senior Solutions Engineer here at UpKeep. Now, before we jump into today's presentation, we just have a couple of housekeeping items to quickly go over. Now, today's session is being recorded, so you guys will receive a copy of the recording right after this webinar is concluded. In addition, we have a chat feature. I would love for today's webinar to be interactive. So go ahead right now, drop your name and where you're from in the chat. And throughout this presentation, if questions come to mind, please go ahead and ask them in the chat feature. Again, I'm very excited for today, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Vince and Jonathan to introduce themselves and kick off today's presentation. Vince, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Blair. I'm watching all of the attendees pop in where they're coming in from. This is great. We appreciate everyone. We appreciate you being here. Thanks for the intro, Blair. Like Blair mentioned, my name's Vince. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager here at UpKeep, joined by the brains behind the operation today, John. John's going to be helping us out as we jump into product and show a little bit of some cool new stuff we've rolled out, as well as highlight a few key features to help y'all out there as UpKeep users. So, efficiency and productivity, why we're here today. I just wanted to kind of kick things off talking at a high level about UpKeep in the context of efficiency and productivity. So, everything we do and everything we roll out really is centered around driving accountability, streamlining workflows, and really making your guys' life easier as maintenance operations and the reliability people. A big part of that is having easy to use modern technology. Our mobile first approach to what we coin asset operations really allows techs to get more done. They're in the field, they're at the facility, right where they are out of pocket. By out of pocket, obviously meaning on the phone. In both the mobile and web app, all of the powerful capabilities we roll out are available for you and your teams to use to resolve work orders faster, to collaborate, to do more with less, and ultimately to be more efficient and more productive. With that being said, I thought I'd highlight a couple customers as we go through before I kick things over to John to get into the product and talk a little bit about the things we're rolling out. But I thought I picked a few out that I thought spoke pretty well to our conversation today. Trinity Products, this slide highlighting that modern technology like UpKeep really is changing behavior. And when you think about productivity, at Trinity at least, they saw a pretty big jump in a lot of what they were doing because their guys started being a little competitive about what they could get done in a day. And we feel UpKeep's technology really was the springboard for that and the foundation to have that type of impact. We also have Voss Water. These guys were able to shift their thinking and their acting and ultimately reduce reactive maintenance and double preventative work orders. You'll see as we hop into product, some of the enhancements we've made are actually in that preventative maintenance kind of sector of the product and functionality. And Voss was one of our customers that's able to see some pretty big jumps there. And last but not least, Brew Dr. Kombucha. They moved off of a paper process, but I picked this one because the stat that they included when we spoke to them was pretty impressive. In the past, they were only able to produce about 100 pallets a day, and right after taking on UpKeep, they were easily able to hit 140 or 150. These guys actually were a company who had to bring in outside help to do maintenance and to operate for their maintenance operations. But with UpKeep, they were able to just do that a lot more efficiently. A lot more work could be done with their in-house resources, and ultimately brought them huge, great positive results. So without further ado, what we're talking about today in the product, well, as I kick things over to John, the 5 things we're going to be hitting on today and highlighting for you. Some improvements we've made to the mobile interface. Some of those you may have already seen in app and seen those changes pushed through. We've made some enhancements to multi-asset PMs. We're going to walk through the bulk assignment of work orders and talk about how that can improve, some of the efficiency and productivity on your end, as well as import, export, and not a whole lot to show interactively on the API side, but we are making leaps and bounds and improvements on the API, and wanted to just highlight where you can go for that information and what that means for you. So John, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and shoot the screen your way and we can jump right in.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Vince. All righty. Looks like we're all working on my end. Vince, can you see my screen?
Good to go.
Perfect. So, hey, everyone. As Vince said, my name is John. Blair called me Jonathan. Only my mother calls me that. So I must be in trouble. But my name is John. I'm a solutions engineer here at UpKeep. Part of what I do is what we're doing today, running webinars alongside our awesome marketing team, as well as provide product demonstrations, supporting our pre-sales team, as well as our post-sales team. So I actually report directly to the vice presidents of our customer success team. So it's really cool because I have the opportunity to see the whole customer cycle from start all the way to implementation. So I really have a hand in the whole process, and it's a really cool process to be a part of. As what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about, first, we're going to talk about the mobile, which you see here on the right-hand side. And then we're also going to be touching about some web enhancements as well, which is on the left-hand side. So to get everyone acclimated, on the right-hand side is the mobile app, which is my personal phone. If you see notifications, I do apologize. Without fail, every time I do one of these, every time I do a presentation, my wife always asks me if I need water or if I need some sort of food. So I apologize if you see those text messages come through, but it is a very live, real phone that we're showing you here today. And then on the left-hand side, obviously, this is a web application. So as long as you have a Chrome, modern internet browser, you're not accessing this from Windows 98, you'll be able to access the system anywhere in the world. So getting to the mobile enhancement screen, I don't know if you all remember what the previous screen was, but it got really close to what we were getting to the efficiency. And this new screen that we're looking at here is actually a direct product enhancement from our customer base. And it's really exciting because we took the feedback of our customer base and we developed this dashboard that you see here on the mobile directly from you guys. So we heard you. We wanted to make improvements to get to the data that we need to, get to the work orders that we need to very quickly. And as you see here, starting from the top, we moved all of these buttons around. I'm not going to go over everything here, but you can see that we can quickly get to things like scanning, walking up to an asset and scanning it, viewing a work order, creating a work order, viewing the asset information, viewing the asset history. We can view our impact to see how we're doing on a week-to-week basis. My user's doing pretty good. And then we can also quickly get to our notifications. What has come through? Has anyone chatted us? Has any work orders been assigned to us that we might have missed on a push notification or accidentally swiped it away? And then from a dashboard perspective, getting to the work orders that matter to us really quickly going down to due today. What is on my schedule for today? We're looking at our work orders that are assigned to our user specifically. And if we have the appropriate level of access, maybe we can look at all work orders. If we also want to look at work orders that are not assigned, we can do that here. This is a really good admin feature too. If you have an admin level access, you'll be able to adjust your dashboard to see all work orders that are open, in progress, or unassigned, so you can make scheduling on the move. We're going to be talking about assigning today later on when it comes to group assignments on the web application, but you can do that on the mobile app too.
Yeah, John, and I just wanted to connect this directly to one of the slides I pulled up with one of our customers. This My Impact tab. What we heard a lot from customers was that, when they pull up their mobile app to see their work, they also want to see, hey, what type of job am I doing? And look for opportunities to communicate those things outward. A lot of the feedback we got was it was great for, an individual tech to go show what type of impact he and his team were having, and kind of communicate upward and make sure that their management teams know what type of effort they're putting in and what type of effect they're having on the operations process. Another thing I wanted to talk about too is quickly, the mobile app is something that we're always iterating on. We're listening a lot. We're getting a lot of feedback from you all. And the scan enhancement piece is one piece that we're continuing to build on top of. And we have some more coming down the pike from the perspective of the mobile app scanning and getting data to your fingertips quickly and clearly. So yeah, sorry to interrupt your flow there, John.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing. It's always good to relate improvement with real life impact. And I love hearing that. Speaking of impacts, let's talk about preventative maintenance. So on the left-hand side, so we should all be seeing the preventative maintenance up at the top. For folks that have been customers for a long time, you'll probably remember that preventative maintenance has had a really big evolvement over time. At first, it was creating a work order, then it was creating a repeating work order within that single work order. And now we have evolved all the way to that maintenance module where we actually have, and I'll just expand this so we can focus on one thing at a time. Now we have evolved to an actual preventative maintenance module or area, a lot of definitions for this, to where we can actually manage all of our schedules, and we continue to make improvements on this. So, the biggest improvement that we're releasing really soon here is, you probably noticed I have a PM listed here that has multiple in it. So what does that mean? This means I have multiple assets to a PM schedule. So if for those of you guys who are not utilizing the PM module, I recommend you do that. It's going to make a huge impact on your day-to-day. But then for those of you that are really well into the PM module and you're looking to expand and grow further and get from a very crawl state to more of a walking run state, I'd advise you to, when this releases, consider the multiple preventative maintenance assets module or our advancement here. So now we can have none or one assets attached to a PM schedule or multiple. So if I go ahead and open up this PM here, it's pretty basic, but this is a really good use case for it. Oftentimes when I'm speaking to prospective clients or even current clients, what I'll hear is like, hey, we've got a lot of the same equipment that has the same procedures, it has the same schedule, we need to perform it bi-weekly, monthly, annually, quarterly, what have you. But we don't want to keep reinventing the wheel or having to recreate a PM over and over again for the same piece of equipment. Is there any way we can condense all that to then put everything that we need to do in one work profile, which is what we're looking at here, to then apply to many different assets? And that's exactly what we've done here. So for example, if I go ahead and edit this, you'll see that I have created what we call a trigger name. And essentially what that is the ability to identify the reason why we're creating a work order. So this is the reason why we're doing this. It's a scheduled event. We're naming it so we can organize it in our PM list. And then we're providing the details that need to come out of the work order itself. So staying on topic with efficiency and creating some time savings as we go on through the work week. The goal here is for you not to be in our software all day long, but to utilize our software to do the work you need to do better, faster, and more efficiently. So if we can put the work in on the front end like we're doing here, we can essentially create a need payoff at the end to perform less data and administration. So after we set the schedule here, as you see here, this is performing every couple of weeks, and we associate the title, description, and all the details required for us to complete this PM. We can also associate the relevant assets to it. So you notice here, I've got 3 forklifts associated to this PM, and they're all generating at different times. So I've got this one starting on next month, and a couple days after that, and then one's actually starting today. We can go beyond that too with the automation and efficiency gains. We can actually say, hey, let's assign this to someone right off the gate when it generates, or we can assign multiple folks, or entire teams. So where we really see this play out is scheduling teams, or we have different shifts that this needs to be performed on. And these can automatically be flagged to the appropriate teams for those teams to then schedule and manage these PMs as they generate. Vince, did you have any other things to add here, or any questions around this really new module that we're going to be releasing here shortly?
Yeah, absolutely. There's an interesting couple questions that came up. How many assets can you add to a particular PM? Is there a limit? Is there a best practice?
Yeah, it's a great question. So currently right now, this is the first iteration, and right now you can add up to 20 assets. So it's actually going to give you kind of a counter up here at the top.
Perfect. Let me see. I think there was one more. Can you choose a parent asset to include? And this is from John Shum. When you assign an asset to a PM, is it a parent asset you're choosing with child assets, or they associated individually to PMs?
Yeah, so they're going to be looked at as individual assets, right? So obviously we do have parent-child hierarchy in our asset structure. When you do create these multiple PM schedules, you're going to want to have that in mind. So when these do generate, they're going to generate a work order for every single asset. But if you have an assets in a parent-child hierarchy structure, all that information will roll up. Yeah, it's a great question.
Perfect. Yeah. I know we're getting a couple more here in the chat as well. We're going to do our best to answer a few as we go through. Just want to let you know we're seeing them come through, and if we don't get to them, we will follow up with you and answer those questions one-to-one. And if it's something we've got a few times asked about the same way, maybe we'll throw a post up answering them as a follow-up to the webinar as well. But keep them coming, guys. We're doing our best to keep up with them and pick a few here and there. But John, I think it makes the most sense to go ahead and forge forward.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover, which is so exciting. All right, so right now we're going to transition from our PMs to our work order screen here. So what we're looking at here is a list of work orders. Everyone's probably familiar with this. For those that are not, this is essentially where we view our work orders in a variety of different ways, and we can filter and sort these work orders here. In fact, I'm actually filtering right now to only show work orders that have no assignment whatsoever. And I actually have this saved as a quick filter. So as we're talking about new product releases here, which we're going to demonstrate here in a second, I also want to review just some current capabilities that maybe folks don't really realize they have. So for example, if I want to filter by any sort of criteria, whether it be the quick search criteria here at the top, or go into more of the advanced searching criteria here on the left, you can select your criteria, and then once you update it to show results, you'll have the ability to save this as a filter, give that filter a name so you can identify what type of criteria you're filtering for. So as you see here, on the right-hand side under my mouse cursor, it's telling me this is not assigned by any day. So it's exactly what it's showing for me here is all my work orders that have no assignment, there's no team associated to it, there's no end user, there's no primary worker assigned to it at all. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select some work orders here and also run through a use case that I actually heard from one of our current clients that do this. That I thought was pretty valuable. So what they do, obviously we all have different practices in the way of scheduling maintenance, and we also live in the real world where schedules, once we build them, they never stay the same. Obviously we all know the concept of break-in work. But one particular client let me know about a really valuable use case that they have is when they're doing a shift change or when they're coming in the morning, they always have a quick meeting with the maintenance staff and the maintenance teams. And they do that in tandem with the web application and the mobile application. And here's how it plays out. So a supervisor or a manager will have of their team in a school circle type format. We'll be talking about the day. We'll be looking at the current calendar, which you obviously can see here on my end. They'll be looking at the calendar. But then they're also going to talk about how can we accommodate work that has come through the night, through the previous shift. How can we accommodate all this work? And so what really gives them a lot of efficiency is going to each tech and saying, okay, you all have your schedules built out for today. Can you fit anything in? And in tandem, they work together and create a schedule and accommodate for break-in work. Now, obviously, that's not going to apply for everyone, but this, I thought it was really cool use case. And then what happens is, as we go line for line, we can select multiple work orders, and we can essentially assign technicians as we go on and plan through the day. So we're creating an environment of efficiency gains, but also collaboration. This is going to help communication. I mean, the payoffs here are pretty endless when you think about it. But as you see here, previously we could only assign one by editing the work order before. Now I can assign multiple work orders to a resource if I'd like. And as you see now, it's not displaying because we have those work orders assigned to that individual. So it's not going to show up on my filtered view here, but where it will show up is in my work order view on my technician side. So previously we only had 2 work orders, excuse me. Now we have a lot more work orders on our technician because we work together looking at what we can accommodate in our schedule here.
Yeah, John, another one that we've unfortunately been hearing a little bit of is in COVID cases, when we have team members who you find out in very short term, possibly the night before, that, hey, I had COVID exposure, I'm not going to be able to make it in for the next day, 2 days, 3 days. Yeah. This is a feature that enables a team to sit down in the morning and kind of reshuffle and reallocate resources to make sure they're working efficiency. And really, like you said, to answer that question, who has capacity, who can fit these things in, when can we do them, and really prioritize those work orders as well to know what needs to get done, what can we push off for another day if it's a little less critical or doesn't associate with a critical asset. So great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking about that. And if this gentleman that we're looking at here on my screen was in that specific use case, I mean, again, the same thing applies. We can look at their day-to-day impact, and then we can reschedule as we need, doing the same thing. But absolutely. One thing I did want to highlight before we move on, and wow, time is flying, is we can not only change the assignee here, but obviously we can change status as well. So we all live in the real world. Hopefully everyone is working on their mobile device, which is going to be incredibly efficient. But hey, sometimes IT rolls out an update and shuts down everything. So we sometimes need to go back to paper when those things happen. We have the ability to update statuses too. So if there is ever in a situation where we're having to do data entry in the web app, we can also do mass status change too. So if all these work orders were complete, we could do that. Obviously, that's going to depend on if you guys had workflow or if there's tasks required to sign off. But we can also improve efficiency that way as well.
Yep. And so, John, I have a couple interesting questions. The first, there's been a couple about particular user types and what abilities they have as far as the bulk selection and bulk editing. Can you just talk a little bit about how that can be managed from an admin level, and what capabilities are there?
Yeah, great question. So I probably should have positioned this as we started, but as I'm in my mobile app, I'm looking at this from a very technician viewpoint, meaning there's things that I can and cannot do. One of them being scheduling and assigning, and also deleting work orders that I haven't created. But on the left-hand side on the web application, I'm logged in as an administrator, so I have full reign over everything in this. So I can manipulate data, I can change data, and I can do mass changes. We do have the ability, and this is probably something that is good to highlight. If you are an admin and you come down to the settings button here on the bottom left, we do have the concept of role assignments. So as we roll out product updates from our mobile to our web, we're also changing the things on the back end and putting improvements that don't get highlighted as much. And one of those things is that we're slowly kind of covertly updating the role configuration, because maybe some folks have noticed here, if I come and select some work orders, you'll notice I've got administrator at the top here, and then I've got this advanced technician. And if anyone is aware, that's not a common role. That's not an out-of-the-box role that we have at UpKeep. This is an example of a custom role that I have created, including this electrician that I have here. And then you'll see that I have the common roles like limited administrator or limited technician. So just another example of some of the things that we're doing in the back end, that we can create different permission levels to give technicians either more capability or scale that capability back.
Great, thanks. I got a couple others, quick ones. Gerald White, can UpKeep be used for medical equipment? Yes, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about it. Let's see. V Redding, how many different work orders per asset can be created? It's a little bit off topic, but thought I'd pepper it in there.
How many different work orders? Ooh, there's a lot of ways we can take that. I'm going to take it from the concept of doesn't matter. You can have as many work orders as you want on an asset. We don't limit that. And if we look at work orders from a categorical standpoint, it can be a preventative maintenance, it could be a inspection, it could be a operational walkthrough, it could be a startup procedure. I mean, it's honestly endless with the amount of different types or categories of work orders that you can have per asset.
And one more before we move on. I thought this was interesting and can and hopefully not dive too far off course, but Justin asked, can UpKeep automatically assign PMs and work orders based on other criteria, like a facility, without having an admin have to manually assign them? So maybe with workflows and some type of automation.
Yeah. So Justin, whether you're a current customer or you're looking at softwares, come talk to us. We'll be happy to walk you through that. But we have this concept that Vince just alluded to called automated workflows. And within those automated workflows, you can do exactly what you're describing. Automatically assign teams, individuals, but you can do so much more, including, this is kind of a tease, we're developing this, maybe I shouldn't say it, but including changing asset statuses.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Well, I think, for the sake of time too, I think we have a couple more to highlight here. So let's forge on, John. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So I think we'll forge on ahead with the importing and exporting. So this is kind of this is an underdog capability. For those of you who have done importing of mass amounts of data, my background is actually working with systems like Maximo, JD Edwards, SAP PM, all the system that everyone loves to hate, but we all have to deal with at times to time. In those experiences, importing has become quite the task. So we have taken very, very significant strides and steps towards making that task easy and simple. So folks that don't know how to do VLOOKUP or create major asset management moves or data moves within Excel or something can absolutely do this themselves. But the good news is we don't let you guys, so anyone knows, when you're, since I'm part of customer success, when you go through implementation, we do this alongside you, and you have the ability to import data throughout the entirety and export data throughout the entirety of your lifecycle with UpKeep here. So on every single one of these work orders, PMs, locations, assets, parts, you can download our template. We'll walk you through how to map your current data to an UpKeep mapping format. So basically what happens is when you're ready to import, you can take a CSV file like I'm about to do here, drop it in, and it's going to analyze that file. It's going to then walk you through the process easily of importing assets, equipment, locations, and it's incredibly easy. So just for example, it's walking us through a step-by-step instruction here, all the way to a review state to we're ready to import this. So I'm gonna just kind of quickly walk through how we go about this. One of the first steps it's gonna ask us is it's going to say, hey, are you, from your document that you're trying to upload, does this name field match the name field in UpKeep, or do we need to change this? So it allows you to change everything immediately. But once you have confirmed that this is correct, we can confirm that mapping and move on. Now I'm not going to do this whole list because this is a big list, and I actually exported this list right before we went on the webinar. But one thing I do want to highlight is oftentimes when we have folks onboarding, the asset fields that they have are unique to their business cases, and they'll have custom fields. And so a lot of the questions I get all the time is, can we, if we have custom fields that are very specific to us in our business case, can we, for one, can UpKeep handle them? And then two, can you import them? The answer is yes. So we can accommodate custom fields to assets, and we can also map them. And not only that, we go a step further. We actually give you a confidence level. So for example, on this is an example of a custom field that I have created. And since I am uploading it again, it's asking me, hey, does this custom field match this custom field? And if it does, is this the correct? Is very high, go to very high, or do we need to change it to medium? All right, so we can confirm that these are the proper field mappings. Once we have done all this, it also gives us some error checking and resolution. So if you have duplicates, if you have data that's messy, we can quickly show everything that has a problem here. Like you can see here, I've got assets that are named the same, and we need to be able to identify these. This is also something that we're going to walk you through during implementation, and we actually have a process of helping establish a national standardization of naming convention, as well as structure of how your data gets in. And we'll actually teach you guys how to do that with implementation. But you can change these right here. So if I want to change these and quickly give them a unique identifier, you can see as I do this, the problems go away. Now, I don't want to recommend importing this right now because this data is pretty messy, but it just gives you some indication on how efficiently or how we can make some efficiency gains when importing and exporting, rather than importing the file only to have it fail and then you having to then go back and check out and inspect where that failure occurred.
So it sounds like really the benefit here is twofold, right? It's not only, as a new customer or somebody adding, bulk adding assets or locations or parts. It's, being able to do that in bulk, but also being able to append data and clean up data and efficiently be able to manage really your entire asset operations data set in UpKeep.
Yep.
Awesome. I love it. Let me see what other questions we have here, John. Can we assign subcategories for our work orders? We like to track things in groups.
Yeah, so that's probably that's probably an answer that needs to have a question before an answer is given. So I'd really like to understand the use case around that one before I give a definite answer, because there's some interesting use cases that can apply to, and there's also some implications that can have a drastic effect on.
Awesome. There's a question here too, just about feature function and timeline. Correct me if I'm wrong, John, but this is the current state. This isn't coming functionality for import export. This is what you can go in there and do now. That's all open to you. And if you'd like any help with that, or want a little bit more of a pointed walkthrough with any of our team, please reach out to us. We're happy to do this stuff with you and or your team whenever necessary. Happy to help you out.
Yeah. Accurate. I would say that's accurate.
This is a little bit of a tangent here, but there's a question about measuring KPIs and what we can do in show. I know we touched on it with My Impact on the mobile app. Could you click back into that tab real quick and show what impact's shown?
Yeah.
So I know there was a question about KPIs, and we're not going to dig too deeply in that today. I think that we can do a whole separate individual webinar in that in particular. But just wanted to re-highlight some of these things about on-time completion and completed work orders, and also point you in the direction of the analytics tools. And again, John, we don't need to dig into this today, but if you have questions about what types of KPIs you can track, what you can show, what you can report on, click that analytics tab there on the left. or go to upkeep.com and look at the content we have there about analytics. They'll be able to dig in a lot further into some awesome analytic capability. And depending on what level of user you are of UpKeep, different tiers have a little bit of different functionality there on the reporting and analytics side, but you'll really be able to dig deeply into this entire data set.
I know you're probably going to kill me, but I can't help it. Since we talked about preventive maintenance, I feel like it'd be a shame if we didn't at least present this, right? So if you create a preventative maintenance schedule, you also need to be committed to be compliant to it, right? So if for those of you who have not utilized this maintenance compliance report, we can take a deeper dive in this, reach out to our team. I'd be happy to give you a product demonstration as well as even a training session. I do those all the time as well. But the same premise applies, right? We use this filter criteria up at the top to manipulate these reports. That's going to give us a year-to-date, like that's how I'm filtering now, and giving us a PM compliancy rate really, really quick and easy. I mean, for companies to do this easily and effectively and efficiently and just speed, this can take, I remember to do this type of report when I was actually building one of these out in Maximo, it took me 3 days to do this. And to be able to have this right here, right out of the box is pretty incredible. So just wanted to highlight that when you establish your PMs and you create that efficiency and you have all the automated workflows behind it, now we can stay on top of our compliancy rating. And these are not just static reports. If we want to go and see who our biggest offenders of the non-compliancy, I know this is kind of getting into a little bit of an area, but we can quickly identify what work orders are non-compliant, and we can jump directly to those work orders. That's all I'll say. Sorry about that. Can't help it.
No problem. And like I said, this is probably a topic we could do a whole separate webinar on. We look forward to doing that here in the near future. We had a couple of questions that actually are a great segue into the final bullet point for us to hit on here, John, about API. So like I mentioned, you know, the API is something that we are constantly iterating on, getting tongue-tied, and something we're constantly improving and opening up new endpoints on new functionality. If you take a look at our release notes, take a look at our posts, you'll see what we're adding incrementally. If you want to find out more information about the API, and John, if you don't mind pulling up the website, upkeep.com, we can show you exactly where to go for that information. This is the actual API documentation. This is available for anyone to pull up and dig into. Great information here, great breakdowns and simple explanations for you. If you have integration questions, if you have API questions, please reach out to our teams. We're happy to talk to you about what's available now, what's coming, as well as other integrations we've done in the past and some other modes of integrating UpKeep with your current system that we offer. So we appreciate all those questions on that front as well. Definitely more to come on the API side too. Let's see what else we've got here. Thanks, Blair, for throwing that link in there. Thank you also, everyone, for whenever I see customers answering each other's questions, it makes my heart sing. I love it. Thank you guys for that. Let's see here if we can answer one more question before we kick things back over. I don't know, John, if you're looking at that question list too, if there's anything that jumps out to you right away. If not, we can talk about what's to come and wrap things up.
Well, I said I was good at maintenance asset management, and then said I was good at reading. No, just kidding. I think we're good. I think a lot of these questions are really, really good questions to dive into a little bit deeper, because as I look at some of these, I can almost see the use cases and feel the use cases, and I would love to learn about them. So if you all have time and you want to book some time, I'm happy to discuss with anyone. Just reach out to us, and I'm one of the senior solutions engineer here, so it's probably going to be me that you're speaking with, alongside one of our folks from the UpKeep sales team or the UpKeep implementation team. So happy to answer those offline too.
Great, thanks, John. So to wrap things up, I just wanted to share one slide that's a little bit more forward-looking. As a member of the product marketing team, I'm involved pretty heavily with our product team and what's coming down the roadmap. And as we get closer to those things rolling out, we'd love to start sharing a little bit more about what's coming down the pike. There's a lot of things in the works between now and the end of the year and into Q1. This is a little bit of a selfish promotion to reach out to you as our customer base. If you're interested in being part of our testing groups for features coming down the pike, please let us know and reach out. We'd love to get you connected with our product folks. But just to highlight a few things that are coming in short term, expanded language support. There'll be a few more languages as we move forward being supported in the app, as well as improvements on the current translations. Mobile offline mode enhancements. We have a lot coming here. We can't quite talk about a ton of it yet. I promise you, I know everyone's been waiting patiently for a lot of this stuff to be rolled out. We have a lot coming on the mobile front. Please reach out if you'd like to be involved in testing there. We're improving the scan functionality in the mobile app as well. So like I mentioned before, being able to give you more information easily at your fingertips when you go and scan a QR code right on one of your assets. We're also working on rolling out some checklist templates. This has been a big ask from the customer base, and how can we help build a library of reusable templates for customers to roll out and to use in their asset operations. So we hear you, we're building them, and a lot more to come there, as well as expanded asset workflow automations. So you're probably tired of hearing us talk so much. Again, we appreciate everyone joining us today. Please reach out and let us know what we can do to help, what other questions you have. We'll do our best to follow up with everything that's come through the question queue. And yeah, thank you. Blair, I'm not sure if there's anything on your end to wrap things up.
Yeah, I want to thank you again. Thank you, John and Vince, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for all of your awesome questions. Like Vince said, we will reach out via email if we didn't answer your question here. I did drop a few links in the chat. You can go ahead and contact us at our info@onupkeep.com email, or you can just go ahead. The easiest way to get a hold of us is to go ahead and just schedule your free product demo. And then again, you would most likely speak with John at some point, and we can answer all of your questions. You guys will receive your recording of the webinar as soon as we end the webinar. And if you guys have any other questions, just go ahead and contact us. Thanks so much, John. Thanks, Vince. Take care. Bye-bye.